Hello everyone, this is Rob Dillon from the Midwest region. Just putting together a video here to help you make sure that we have a good core return process and that we're maintaining a clean core inventory. As we all know, basically the reason behind this is we want to increase dealer profitability. One of the opportunities that we see is with cores, if they're not managed properly, we have a great deal of frozen capital sitting in the parts department. So basically what we want to do is no different than you having some returns to the store. We want to make sure that we get those parts back so you can put that money back into your bank account and you can deploy it on other investments. So what we're going to go over some ADP and Reynolds functions, show you how to maintain and look for your cores, what your value is and what have you. We're going to go over part numbers and the pseudo part number guide to return those cores. We're going to enter them in the parts in command. We're also going to, create the sales doc. I'm going to show you the return labels on how to send it back to your PDC. I'm also going to give you an opportunity to track those core returns on a dealer level, just to make sure that we're monitoring and making sure we get core credit on what we send back. And then also, most importantly, setting up a routine to make sure that we're constantly looking at this and getting that money back in. I'll try to make this quick, so let's get started. So very quickly, because Volkswagen has about 70% of our dealers on ADP, I'm going to use some ADP screens to help out the majority of the dealers. I will talk with Reynolds a little bit, and again, for any other DMS dealers out there, please pick up the phone, call up your DMS provider, and you can apply anything that I'm talking here to questions to ask them. Okay, so number one, what we need to do is we need to find out what kind of cores we have, what's the value of our cores, and that way, remember, you have three different kind of cores in your department. You have your dirty cores, right? These are cores that maybe a customer bought and then returned the core. You have your warranty cores that your technicians, you're filing for warranty claims. You have to hold on to them until they got paid before you can return them to the PDC. And then also you have your cores that are still in stock, a water pump that you're just waiting to hand out to a technician to install, whether it be customer pay or whether it be warranty. So keep those three in mind, so then that way we can go ahead and handle them accordingly. So the first thing you're going to want to do is in ADP, you can go ahead and run in your PHR function. You can go ahead and run an inventory value. Now what that inventory value is going to look like once you print it is it's going to give you all of your sources, every source that you guys have available, and again you should have quite a bit depending on how many sources you like to use in your parts department. Then it's going to give you your core value. So this is saying that in the main source we have 8475 in cores. Again, this is all kinds of cores. This is obsolescence, some returns. There's some cores there that might be radios or something from the past that may need to just be written off to parts policy accounts. Now that we know our inventory value, and let's go ahead and start the return process. Now you may know that there are some cores that you just drop the X and add a U to return. However, there's a pseudo part numbers, like water pumps no longer have their own part number for returning. There's a pseudo part number, a generic part number that basically handles all cores. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you where to find that guide. There's a couple different ways of finding what those pseudo numbers are. So what we're going to do is right here in the VW Hub, I am going to type up the pseudo. I'm going to hit search. And right there is a pseudo U dealer program guide. So you can go ahead and click on this. And once you open this, what it's going to do is it's actually got the whole program for you to review. You can print this out. You can delegate it. So let's click on that. Open it up. You can even save it as a PDF if you'd like to. And this is it. This is the pseudo guide. And it's very, very clever. It shows you pictures. Gives you obviously what this is the pseudo part number, and these are the actual part numbers that are associated with that. So that's one way to go ahead and find what the core number is to return to in parts on command. Also, there's another way I'm going to share with you. So once we get into parts on command, what we can do is we can go into material information, and I am going to go ahead and use this core number as a return. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to want that part number. Let's just copy it, and let's go back into material information and paste that. I believe I'm going to right there if you take a look, there's your core part number. So it actually gives you your pseudo part number as well, just in case you have a quick one that you want to know, and there's your core value as well. So now that we know the pseudo core number, we can go ahead and copy and paste that. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start a return. Now, in add return, you have a couple opportunities here. We're going to do a core, and this is going to be a small core, right? Now, if it's a large core, it's going to be a transmission, an engine, something of that nature. You want to go ahead and do that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to return, tell it how many I want to return. And also I'm going to give it a comment. Now, this would probably be a good opportunity to either put a bin location or maybe where it is, right? So let's say, you know, parts manager's desk, right? Maybe it's just waiting for the sales doc next day so the parts counterman can come in and grab that for him. We're going to go ahead and hit validate. It went ahead and took it. I have no error messages. And now we're going to go ahead and hit submit. There. Now you've basically just submitted for a return on that starter. So you've got a sales doc number. We're going to use that in just a little bit. And then once you get the confirmation to return it, then what you're going to need is a core return label. Now these core return labels can be they can be acquired at your PDC, your local PDC. Just call them up and they can drop them off with your daily deliveries or what have you. But this is what you'll need to put in a box. Slap this on the box. Give the authorization number, dealer code, your date, that it's a small, and then how many boxes. If you're shipping back a whole bunch of cores, you may have, you know, one of box 10 or something of that nature. So a best practice I'd like to share with you is, again, now that you have your sales doc number, now that you shipped it back, what you want to do is you want to make sure that we're tracking that information just to make sure we're getting credit on this. So it's just, as a good parts manager, you should always be watching where your money is. So what you can do is you can just set up a very simple spreadsheet in Excel. You know, what's the date you shipped it back, your part number, what is it? Again, I know these are all the same part number. I'm just using this as an example. Also, how many did you send back? What's the core cost? What's the value of it all together? And then if for any reason it gets returned, like non-OEM or what have you, this way you know if it was rejected. And then you can also watch for when you were credited. Just so if something doesn't get credited, it's been a while, you can go and refer back to Parts on Command or contact the PDC just to, you know, get some kind of a trail on what happened with that core. And it comes out, that's important. I mean, especially when you have $800 cores out there, or maybe a transmission or something of that nature, you want to make sure you know where that money is. So now that we've gone over cores, how to identify them, how to return them and what have you, the next thing I'd like to do is to make sure that we're setting up almost a religious routine on making sure that we're identifying cores, we're going to look for them with the technicians, and you know, so we can get rid of them. So one thing that you can do is you can actually set up a calendar reminder, and if you want a little bit more information on that, if you go into Google and just go ahead and type in Rob Dillon Midwest Region, my YouTube training videos, I actually have an improvement time management video already displaying how you can set up a reminder for core returns, so whenever you want to do them or how you're going to do them. And here it is. Okay. So now, with that being said, just a couple of other best practices. Number one, I know we didn't cover Reynolds and Reynolds too much. However, if you are a Reynolds and Reynolds dealer, you can reach out to Reynolds and Reynolds. However, you can also run your inventory, your core inventory value is in report 2222. Also, one thing you need to make sure you do in any DMS is you want to make sure that you're clearing your cores. In Reynolds and Reynolds, that's a 2010 report. Again, once you start getting into these cores and you start managing a little bit and start digging into it, you'll find a lot more information on this. And again, don't hesitate to call your DMS provider. But I know in Reynolds and Reynolds, you do need to clear the cores once you return them to the PDC. So my last best practice that I'd like to tell you about is to make sure that the cores are not given out to technicians or customers and never returned, and we lose out on that opportunity and money. What I'd like to recommend is when you do hand out a core, any of your countermen hand out a core, they hand out the part and not the box. On the box in black marker, the technician or the most likely the parts counterman should be writing the repair order number, the technician number, and also the date that that core was handed out. This way you can actually have a visual management for auditing. So if you have a core box in behind the parts counter for maybe more than 3 days and it's got a technician number on there, you can go ahead and inquire on that tech before any accidents happen. We're all in retail, right? You know, sometimes cores get thrown away accidentally. But if that does happen, you can deal with it immediately. Probably writing it off to parts policy is my best guess on that. Also make sure that when you do get ready to start, doing your core process, check the shop. Maybe some of the technicians might have something out there that was a customer pay and they didn't send it back. This is before you start the process of keeping all the boxes. In closing, I'll leave this up on the screen for you guys to look at. If you don't know where to get started, this is a good place to start here. So I hope this information was useful and valuable. And like I said, let's get those cores returned to the PDC, get you to unfreeze some of that capital right there in your department. All right. Best of luck. Thank you. Bye-bye.